How did the Armenian Genocide start?
Armenian genocide began in 1915 during World War I when the Ottoman Empire, led by the Young Turks, systematically targeted and deported Armenian civilians, intellectuals, and community leaders. This campaign ultimately resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1.5 million Armenians through mass killings, forced marches, and starvation. The Armenian genocide trace back to late 19th century with the rise of nationalist movements in the Ottoman Empire and tensions between the Turkish government and its Armenian population. However, the genocide's immediate catalyst was the outbreak of World War I in 1914. The Ottoman Empire allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary and saw the Armenian population as a potential threat to their Christian faith and perceived ties to Russia. In April 1915, Ottoman authorities arrested and executed hundreds of Armenian intellectuals and community leaders in modern-day Istanbul. This event marked the beginning of the systematic extermination of the Armenian population. The Ottoman government then implemented a series of policies aimed at deporting and exterminating Armenians. Armenians were forcibly removed from their homes, marched long distances, subjected to mass killing, starvation, and other atrocities.
Genocides often escalate in intensity during the middle phase. Perpetrators may become more symptomatic and ruthless in their efforts to exterminate the targeted group. The initial targets of the genocide may expand to broader categories of people deemed undesirable by perpetrators. This expansion can result in increased suffering, death among additional groups. The middle phase of genocide typically sees a significant increase in number of refugees fleeing the violence. These refugees often face extreme hardship, including displacement, starvation, and exposure to disease. During the middle phase, international awareness of the genocide may increase, leading efforts to intervene and stop violence. However, responses from the international community can vary widely in effectiveness and timelessness. Despite, however, the odds against them, targeting groups organized resistance movements and strategies for survival during the middle phase of the genocide. These efforts can include hiding, seeking refuge in safer areas, and forming alliances.
Who is responsible for this genocide?
When considering who is responsible for the Armenian genocide, it is significant to recognize the three pashas. This maniacal trio were Mehmet Talat Pasha, Ismail Enver Pasha, and Ahmed Jamal Pasha, all from modern-day Turkey. These three individuals were Ottoman officials of high rank who held significant power and played key roles in military decisions. Mehmet Talat Pasha lived from 1874 to 1921 and was a significant architect in the Armenian genocide. His career in politics began early in his life as he was an active telegrapher in Young Turk movement. He then joined the Committee of Progress, or CUP, or CUP, and emerged as the leader in secret organizations. With these advantages, Mehmet has the ability to apply his influence and contribute to the plotting with his knowledge. Ismail Enver Pasha lived from 1881 to 1922. Ismail can be described as a prominent instigator as he was in control of Germanophile policies. He was also a member of the Young Turk government, which is where he developed his organizational and leadership skills. He is known for his defense of Libya against Italy and was soon named Minister of War. Ahmed Jamal Pasha lived from 1872 to 1922 and was also a significant overseer of the Armenian genocide. He served as the Minister of the Navy and the governor of not only Syria but Palestine as well during World War I. He held the responsibility of implementing many strategies, as he also had a significant amount of experience in the underground movement of the Ottoman empires.
The Armenian genocide stands as an agonizing testament to the darkest depths of human cruelty. Approximately 1.5 million Armenians perished, their lives snuffed out in a systematic campaign of violence and oppression. Beyond the staggering loss of life, countless others were forcibly removed from their ancestral lands. severed from their roots and heritage. Sacred Armenian landmarks, symbols of centuries of culture and faith, were desecrated or confiscated, leaving scars on the landscape and the collective memory of the people. But the wounds inflicted by this genocide run deeper than mere physical destruction. The survivors, haunted by the specter of unspeakable horrors, carry the weight of their trauma with them, a burden too heavy to bear alone. The aftermath of the genocide saw a widespread dispersal of Armenian survivors across the world, forming a global dispersion.
What would you say the aftermath of this genocide was like?
So by the early 1920s, the genocide had effectively ended, but not before it had disseminated the majority of the Armenian people in the Ottoman Empire. So after that, they had a diaspora, and a lot of the Christian missionary organizations and even European countries and the United States themselves provided relief.
With the survivors now being displaced and some were even forced to convert to Islam. In 1922, the remains of Armenia were incorporated into Russia, becoming its own separate republic in 1936. While still a part of the Soviet Union, in 1991, the Republic of Armenia became independent. Today, Armenia has a population of 2.7 million people, with 96% being ethnic Armenians.
Adopted thousands of Armenian people who were displaced. What were the effects on Armenians 20 years later?
Well, those responsible for this genocide were left without punishment. Considering this a major example of the mishandling of justice, a young Polish lawyer named Raphael Lemkin began drafting a law to aid genocide prevention and ensure punishment for those involved. In 1948, the crime of genocide was made illegal by the United Nations. The first country to officially recognize this atrocity as a genocide was Uruguay in 1965, which was almost 50 years after the violence was officially declared as over, with the various countries following suit. Today, Turkey still denies the behavior of the Ottoman government and went as far as to threatening to sue anyone who criticizes Turkey's dismissal of the genocide. In 2014, Turkey's officials did offer their